Hi, this is Astro Indicator Update, Episode 8, Excursions into Practical Astrology. So what are we going to look at today? We're going to simplify things, and we're just going to do a quick moon void of course calendar for this upcoming week, specifically the first 5 days of July, and then we're going to look at some financial markets, 5 of them. So, void of course moon. I do this every time because I think it's important, and I have to give you a little overview of what this means. The void of course moon is the time period in which the moon is transitioning from one sign, astrological sign, to another. It takes place every 2.5 days, and sometimes it can take place very quickly, a matter of minutes. Other times it can take 24 hours and be very lengthy. When it lasts several hours or more, from my observation, from my experience and the experience of others, people shift into a different mood, different psychological state. The key words that I use for this shift is that there's a sense of disengagement, kind of a shift into neutral. And how this plays out is that people have more difficulty accomplishing things, getting things done, because a void of course moon is ideal for taking a break, for resting, for playing, regrouping, for having fun, and so forth. But what happens if this is Thursday morning or Wednesday afternoon and it's a long void of course period? Well, my recommendation is that you schedule important things around it. You do secondary things, maintenance-like things on those days. Try to avoid big decisions. I don't buy expensive things during a void of course moon. I don't engage in or schedule important events. I wouldn't get married during a void of course moon. Or if I'm in a financial transaction, I wouldn't buy a house or a car, and so forth. So here are the ones coming up this week. And the first one isn't that long. It's only 4 hours or so. It's Monday, couple days. This is Saturday, June 29th. On Monday, July 1st, from 2:48 p.m. to 6:24 p.m., the moon is void of course, shifting signs. But then on Wednesday, we have a much longer one. All day long, it is void of course, 7:25 to 8:19 p.m. Now, all these times are Pacific Daylight Time, so you're going to have to adjust things for your time zone. And finally, on Friday, I'm concentrating on the work week. On Friday, July 5th, it's void of course from actually late Thursday night, very late, but it's void of course all day again. So Wednesday and Friday, essentially all day during the day, the moon is void of course. So, if you can take a day off, that's perfect. But if you can't, try to schedule around it. Schedule things for, a different day, or just shift into trying to do mostly things that are routine, that are maintenance-like, that you do as a matter of course in your business. Okay, so let's move on. So today's we're looking at financial markets. I've been studying astrology for 40 years, and I have been involved in applying it to the financial world for 20. And I have found that you can look ahead and you can forecast within a day or two, when important big moves take place. This isn't an exact science, and it doesn't sometimes tell us, precisely which direction things are going to go. But when the question of direction comes up, you can look at other things involved in analyzing charts that will give you clues. If the market is moved up to a resistance level, like this blue line, here we're looking at the Dow Jones Industrials, or a proxy. This is an ETF, DIA. These blue lines have been drawn in, and they represent support and resistance areas. The green lines are traditional technical analysis trend lines, but all these vertical lines are related to the astrology of the Dow Jones Industrials. And if we look back a little bit, a week or so, these two lines happened right when the market hit a high. Not only was the market hitting a resistance level, and most people would think, well, maybe it would pull back, but in addition to that, we had two strong astrological events taking place. One was that there was a planetary station on that day. Neptune was stationary on June 21st, which is a Friday. In addition, more specific to the Dow Jones Industrials, there was something happening that often indicates a change in direction, and it was a rare event. So I had been looking at this for a long time. I knew it was coming up. I had drawn in these couple lines ahead of time, and they happened to coincide with the market hitting a resistance area. So we had, in a compounded way, we had signals that this market may reverse. In addition, in the Dow Jones Industrials, we for a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks, we have no astrological indication of trend change. We have no astrological station, planetary stations, and so forth. So this market still could be manipulated. Most of these markets are manipulated to a certain degree by insiders, let's just say. But I still feel that the market, fundamental laws in economics, can override the manipulation. That's my bias. So here we have, looking down at other indicators, try to avoid I copied my cursor, but other indicators, this market is overbought. It should pull down. There's many things telling me from an indicator standpoint that this market should move down, at least to this support area here. But we will find out. But that's sort of what it's pointing to. So again, we're moving on to gold. This is where gold closed on Friday yesterday. We've had some strong indicators going back June 19th, right when it blew through some resistance area, it moved higher. Here, the bounce, the reversal happened at, again, a resistance area. So that's not unusual. And then coming up, we have two astrological dates. Now, one happens to occur on July 4th when the market is not trading. However, it could show up on July 3rd, and it is a reversal-like energy. This line right here represents a reversal energy. So if we get a little bit more of a bounce, we may get a reversal on July 3rd, possibly. That's what I'm looking for. However, later in July, we have what are traditionally more bullish energies. And one is taking place on July 11th, and another one is right at the end of the month. It's not on, I haven't drawn it in on the chart, but it's like at the end of the month. So overall, I think the momentum, the trend has changed, and gold could see higher prices in July. The question mark is the July 3rd date right here, okay? Moving on to silver. Now, silver frequently just follows gold. However, sometimes it does sort of match up. If you look back at my astrological lines here, you see changes in trend. Okay, here was one right here. Here was another where it changed trend. And this was a short one. It definitely moved higher on this line. We had a line here that moved us down to a trend line, a short-term trend line in the green, which you see here. But we don't have much going on in the future. I think silver may have to be riding gold's, coattails. I'm going to look at my notes here and just double check. But I do see, actually, I have sort of made an error. I'm double checking. On July 13th, silver has a fairly strong bullish energy. July 13th, 14th, and 15th. See when those fall. So, but July 13th is a Saturday, so this is taking place on a weekend. Maybe that's why I didn't draw it in. I forgot. So that kind of, undermines the energy of the significance of those dates relative to this market. But we will see if gold remains bullish in general through July, so will silver. And silver actually has a lot of catching up to do. And it is not quite as overbought as gold is. Move on. Bitcoin, July timing dates. So Bitcoin has been almost on a parabolic, rally here. It's run into some, it's kind of definitely an overbought condition. We're going through an area sort of like the Dow Jones Industrials where there's not a lot of, astrology indicators. We had that very strong station here again, June 22nd, 23rd, right in that area. There were several astrology things happening, and in this case, it pushed the market much higher. And just over several days, there was a lot of momentum generated. Now that momentum is dissipating. Ideally, for the bullish case, we would see this play out in a trading range, moving horizontally, sideways, maybe into a triangle formation here. And then when we get up to July 14th, let me double check my notes. And let's see. And July 14th actually is, I think, on a Friday. And it has a very strong day that Friday. No, it's on a Sunday, but Bitcoin is trading on that day anyway. So Sunday, July 14th, you might want to mark your calendar, because if it pulls back a little bit or trades sideways, it will have worked off some of this overbought condition. And that weekend, that July 14th, 15th, could be another push higher. In my estimation, in my opinion, this is not trading advice. This is just sharing research, okay? You've heard that line before if you listen to other technical analysts. So let's look at EOS. EOS is a little bit more experimental. I don't have as much data going back years and years and years, okay? This is just 1 year. And but I have seen some correlations taking place. I had one that surprised me, and then it's going to sound like a disclaimer. However, in any sort of cycle analysis, in whatever way it's calculated, you run into what are called inversions, where suddenly the market, should have gone up and it goes down, or vice versa. And here, just several days ago on the 27th, we had what I would consider an inversion. This market had hit some support a couple times. It was not overbought. It could have bounced. We had a very significant energy day, and the market dropped. Maybe it was following Bitcoin on that day. Bitcoin maybe overrode any sort of internal bullishness that EOS, potentially could have had on that day. This is when Bitcoin was dropping. Everything dropped, okay? And now we're bouncing off some support areas. But EOS also, it doesn't look, I'm going to confirm this, does not have a lot of bullish indicators coming up in the future. Pardon me as I double check here. And let's see. Yeah, the 27th was very strong. Might look, if you're trading EOS, you might look on July 8th. And again, July 8th, I think the reason I didn't draw it in is that no, July 8th's a Monday. So my mistake here. Should have been one drawn in on July 8th. Mark that down. So there is one coming up that's fairly strong. And I think this one, because this drop has definitely brought us into somewhat of an oversold condition. July 8th is likely going to be a bounce. And so we're about a week away for EOS to move higher. So that's about it. And, I've been doing these on a weekly basis. My viewership is a little bit marginal, so I'm questioning whether I want to continue doing this. If you have suggestions about what you would like to learn about astrology and the financial markets, leave a comment. Or if you would like to learn how to apply astrology to politics, those are the sort of my areas of interest. Or even some certain public figures we could go into and look at what's going on in their life. The astrology seems there's so much going on in the financial world right now, and it's somewhat precarious in my estimation. In the geopolitical realm of potential, wars and the status of the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency. I mean, these are big items going on that affect all of us. So anyway, leave a comment if you want me to focus on something different in the future. I'll consider it. But I have a background in art, a master's degree in psychology. I'm somewhat semi-retired at this point, but I've been studying astrology for over 40 years. I do trade the markets, but not as much as I used to. And I am a hard money cryptocurrency advocate. I do accept Bitcoins. So anyway, thank you for listening, and hopefully I'll catch you later. Thanks.